The year was 2145, and humanity had long been confined to its modest solar system, trapped behind the invisible barriers erected by the mysterious Galactic Council. For decades, the citizens of Earth and its colonies had watched with growing resentment as the alien alliance exerted its dominance over the galaxy, denying them the opportunity to explore the vast cosmos beyond. In the bustling capital city of New Amsterdam, a group of disgruntled human leaders had quietly been plotting their revenge. Among them was Elijah Sinclair, a former military strategist whose thirst for adventure had been quenched by the shackles of isolation. "The time has come for humanity to take its rightful place in the stars," he declared, his steely gaze fixed on the holographic display of the Galactic Council's headquarters, a sprawling metropolis on the distant planet of Tendari. Beside him sat Petra Norwood, a brilliant political analyst whose scathing reports on the Galactic Council's perceived exploitation of human resources had earned her a reputation as a firebrand. "They've kept us confined like animals in a zoo, content to let us languish while they reap the spoils of the galaxy," she spat, her fists clenched in anger. The others in the room, seasoned military commanders, influential industrialists, and charismatic public figures, nodded in agreement. For years, they had watched as the Galactic Council's representatives descended upon Earth, extracting valuable resources and compelling the human population to serve their inscrutable agenda. The time had come to break free from these shackles and assert humanity's rightful place among the stars. "We've spent too long cowering in the shadows, afraid to challenge the so-called superior alien civilizations," Elijah declared, his voice rising with conviction. "But no more. Today, we take the first steps towards reclaiming our destiny." The others murmured their assent, their eyes gleaming with a newfound determination. In the days that followed, the cabal of nationalist leaders set their plan in motion, rallying support from the disillusioned masses and pooling their resources to acquire the necessary technology and equipment for their audacious undertaking. As the months passed, the mood in the human solar system grew increasingly tense. Whispers of the impending assault on the Galactic Council headquarters spread like wildfire, fueling a sense of both excitement and dread among the populace. The government, torn between its desire to maintain the fragile peace and its own reservations about the Galactic Council's authority, walked a delicate line, neither openly endorsing nor condemning the actions of the nationalist group. Elijah and his comrades, however, remained undeterred. They had spent years meticulously planning every detail of their operation, leaving nothing to chance. They had recruited the finest military minds, secured the latest in cutting-edge weaponry, and even managed to obtain classified intelligence about the Galactic Council's defenses. "This is our chance to prove to the galaxy that humanity is a force to be reckoned with," Elijah said, addressing his inner circle. "When we strike, the Galactic Council will be caught off guard, and they will have no choice but to recognize our power and our rightful place among the stars." The others nodded in agreement, their faces set with a steely determination. The die had been cast, and there was no turning back. As the final preparations were made, a palpable sense of excitement and trepidation hung in the air, for the human assault on the Galactic Council was about to begin. In the dimly lit war room of the nationalist leader's secret base, the sound of hushed discussions and the occasional clink of glassware filled the air. Elijah Sinclair stood at the head of the table, his eyes roaming over the faces of his co-conspirators as he began to outline the next phase of their plan. "Gentlemen, the time has come to put our carefully crafted strategy into action," he said, his voice measured and authoritative. "We have spent months preparing for this moment, and now we must seize the opportunity before us." Across the table, Petra Norwood nodded, her fingers drumming against the mahogany surface. "Our intelligence reports indicate that the Galactic Council's headquarters on Tendari is heavily guarded, but not impenetrable," she said, her gaze fixed on the holographic display that sprang to life in the center of the room. The display showed a detailed schematic of the Galactic Council's sprawling capital city, its gleaming spires and sprawling complexes a stark contrast to the gritty, industrial aesthetic of the human-controlled solar system. We've managed to acquire a fleet of advanced stealth-capable spacecraft, as well as a cache of the latest military-grade weapons and technology. Elijah continued, gesturing to the schematics. Our plan is to launch a covert assault on the Galactic Council's headquarters, striking at the heart of their power and forcing them to recognize humanity's rightful place in the galaxy. The other leaders murmured their approval, their eyes gleaming with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. They knew the risks were high, but the potential rewards were too great to ignore. We've handpicked a team of our most skilled and trusted operatives, Petra explained, her voice calm and measured. They've been rigorously trained in everything from infiltration and espionage to close-quarters combat and demolitions. One by one, the individuals at the table were introduced, their dossiers and accomplishments displayed on the holographic screens. There was Darius Kincaid, a former Special Forces operative whose expertise in urban warfare was unparalleled. May Lyon, a brilliant hacker and technician who could bypass even the most sophisticated security systems, and Andrei Volkov, a seasoned pilot whose reflexes and piloting skills were the stuff of legend. As the briefing continued, the scope of the plan became increasingly clear. The assault team would infiltrate the Galactic Council's headquarters under the cover of darkness, neutralizing key targets and securing critical intelligence. Meanwhile, a fleet of heavily armed spacecraft would provide support and extraction, ready to whisk the team back to the safety of the human-controlled solar system. This is an all-or-nothing gambit, Elijah warned, his brow furrowed with concern. If we fail, the consequences could be catastrophic. But if we succeed, if we can breach the Galactic Council's defenses and prove our worth, then the future of humanity will be forever altered. The others nodded solemnly, the weight of the task ahead bearing down on them. Yet there was a sense of purpose and determination that filled the room, a shared conviction that the time had come to take a stand and seize their destiny. As the meeting drew to a close, Elijah stood and addressed the group one final time. Gentlemen, the hour is upon us. Let us show the Galactic Council the true might of the human spirit. With that, the leaders dispersed, each returning to their respective duties as they set the final pieces of the plan into motion. The stage was set for the human assault on the Galactic Council headquarters, a bold and audacious gambit that would either cement humanity's place among the stars or plunge them into the abyss of defeat. The vast, inky blackness of space was shattered by a series of brilliant flashes as the human assault fleet emerged from the shadows, their sleek, angular ships cutting through the void with deadly grace. Darius Kincaid, his face etched with concentration, gripped the controls of his fighter craft, his eyes scanning the tactical displays for any sign of the Galactic Council's defenses. All units, maintain formation and prepare for the drop. He barked into the comm, his voice betraying a hint of tension. Beside him, Madeline's fingers danced across her console, her brow furrowed as she worked to jam the Galactic Council's communication and sensor networks. We've got a narrow window before they detect us, she reported, her voice terse. We need to move fast. Elijah Sinclair, commanding the lead ship, took a deep breath and nodded to his crew. All teams, commence the assault. May the human spirit guide us to victory. With that, the human ships surged forward, their weapons blazing as they bore down on the Galactic Council's headquarters. The massive, gleaming towers of the alien capital seemed to stretch up into infinity, their defenses bristling with energy cannons and interceptor craft. The initial barrage from the human ships caught the Galactic Council's forces off guard, their return fire sporadic and disorganized. Darius's fighter squadron swooped in, unleashing a hail of precision-guided missiles that shattered the outer defenses and paved the way for the assault teams to begin their descent. Madeline's hacking had managed to disrupt the Galactic Council's ability to coordinate their response, and the human ground teams found themselves facing a disjointed and confused enemy. Andrei Volkov's team of drop troops plummeted towards the towering spires, their sleek, armored suits cutting through the atmosphere like deadly projectiles. As they neared the surface, the true scale of the Galactic Council's headquarters became apparent. Sprawling across the landscape were vast, gleaming cities, their streets teeming with a dizzying array of alien lifeforms. Andre's eyes widened in surprise, but he quickly shook off his momentary hesitation and rallied his team. "Remember, we're here to secure the command center and gather as much intelligence as possible," he barked, his voice sounding tinny through the comm. "Stay focused and watch each other's backs." The drop troops landed with a dull thud, their boots pounding against the polished, alien-built streets as they surged forward, their weapons at the ready. Alarms blared, and the air was soon thick with the acrid scent of plasma fire as the Galactic Council's defenders scrambled to respond to the unexpected incursion. Darius's fighter squadron continued to provide air support, their cannons raining destruction upon the alien interceptors that swarmed to defend the capital. The human ships, their hulls scarred by the intense firefight, pressed on, their pilots gritting their teeth in determination. As the battle raged, Mei Lan's eyes widened in shock as she began to detect signs of a vast, thriving civilization within the Galactic Council's headquarters. "Elijah, we've got a situation," she said, her voice trembling. "This isn't just a military installation. It's a city filled with alien life forms." Elijah's jaw tightened as he processed the implications of May's discovery. "Relay the information to the assault team," he ordered, his mind racing. "We need to reevaluate our strategy." The battle raged on, the human forces fighting with desperate determination, but the tide was beginning to turn as the Galactic Council's superior numbers and technology began to overwhelm them. Andre's team, realizing the true nature of their target, found themselves questioning the wisdom of their mission, their resolve wavering in the face of this unexpected revelation. As the human assault fleet began a hasty retreat, Elijah's face was etched with a mixture of frustration and uncertainty. The plan had gone awry, and the consequences of their actions were only just beginning to unfold. As the human assault fleet retreated, Andrei Volkov's drop team found themselves cut off from their comrades, their escape route blocked by the relentless pursuit of the Galactic Council's forces. Trapped within the sprawling metropolis of the Galactic Council's headquarters, the soldiers had no choice but to seek cover and regroup. Darius Kincaid's voice crackled over the comm, tinged with desperation. "Andre, what's your status? We're taking heavy fire out here, and we need to pull out before we're overrun." Andre's eyes narrowed as he surveyed the chaotic scene unfolding around him. "We're pinned down, Darius," he replied, his voice terse. "The city is teeming with alien life forms. This isn't just a military installation, it's a thriving civilization." Darius's reply was laced with a mixture of disbelief and frustration. "Impossible. Our intelligence suggested this was a purely military target." He paused, his jaw clenching. "We need to extract you, but I don't know if we can break through the Galactic Council's defenses." As the human soldiers hunkered down, taking cover amidst the gleaming spires and bustling streets, they were confronted with a sight that shattered their preconceptions. All around them, alien beings of every shape and size went about their daily lives, oblivious to the human intruders in their midst. My Lion's voice crackled over the comm, her normally steady tone tinged with a hint of uncertainty. "Darius, the data we're picking up suggests this is a thriving, diverse civilization. There are schools, markets, residential areas. This isn't just a military outpost." Darius's reply was terse. "Understood. Relay that information to Elijah and the others. We need to reevaluate our strategy." Andre's team watched in stunned silence as the alien populace went about their business, their interactions marked by a sense of harmony and cooperation that seemed at odds with the Galactic Council's perceived oppression of humanity. "What have we done?" Andre murmured, his eyes fixed on the bustling streets beyond their makeshift barricade. "We came here to destroy, and now we find ourselves face to face with a civilization we never knew existed." The other soldiers shifted uncomfortably, their bravado replaced by a growing sense of unease. They had been so consumed by their hatred for the Galactic Council and their desire for freedom that they had never stopped to consider the true nature of their adversaries. As the battle raged on outside, the human soldiers found themselves grappling with the moral implications of their actions, their certainty in the justness of their cause now shaken to the core. "We need to get out of here," one of the soldiers said, his voice trembling. "I can't bear the thought of fighting these people. They're just living their lives, like us." Andre nodded, his mind racing. "Agreed. But first, we need to find a way to communicate with them, to understand their perspective. Maybe there's a chance for peace, even after what we've done." The human soldiers, once united in their fervent nationalism, now found themselves divided, their loyalties torn between their desire for freedom and the dawning realization that the Galactic Council may not be the oppressive, monolithic entity they had been led to believe. As they hunkered down, awaiting their fate, the sound of the distant battle echoed in their ears, a stark reminder of the consequences of their actions. The future, once so clear-cut, now lay shrouded in uncertainty, and the human soldiers found themselves at a crossroads, their destinies intertwined with the very civilization they had set out to destroy. As the battle raged on outside, Andrei Volkov and his team of human soldiers found themselves trapped within the bustling streets of the Galactic Council's capital, their initial assault now in tatters. The revelation that their target was not a mere military outpost, but a thriving civilization, had shaken the soldiers to their core, shattering their certainty in the righteousness of their cause. Andrei's calm crackled to life, Darius Kincaid's voice tinged with desperation. "Andre, we're taking heavy losses out here. The Galactic Council's forces are overwhelming us. We need to pull out now." Andrei's jaw tightened as he considered his options. They were outnumbered and outmatched, with no clear path to extraction. Retreating was no longer a simple matter of cutting their losses. They had stumbled upon a truth that could shatter the very foundations of humanity's understanding of the Galactic Council. "Darius, hold your position," Andre replied, his voice calm and measured. "We're going to try a different approach." Darius's reply was laced with disbelief. "A different approach? Andre, are you mad? We need to get out of here before we're all killed." Andrei's gaze swept across the faces of his team, their expressions a mix of fear and uncertainty. "We've seen too much to simply retreat," he said, his voice steady. "This isn't just a military target. These are people living their lives, oblivious to the conflict we've brought to their doorstep. We need to find a way to communicate, to understand them." Reluctantly, Darius conceded. "All right, Andre. But you'd better make it quick. I can't hold off the Galactic Council's forces much longer." Andre nodded and turned to his team. "We're going to try to make contact with the local authorities," he announced. "Maybe we can negotiate a peaceful resolution to this conflict." The soldiers exchanged uneasy glances, but they knew that Andre was right. They had gone too far to simply retreat. With a deep breath, they began the perilous journey through the alien city, their weapons holstered and their hands raised in a gesture of surrender. It was not long before they were apprehended by a contingent of alien security forces, their sleek, hovering craft surrounding the human soldiers. Andre stepped forward, his voice calm and clear as he addressed the alien commander. "We come in peace," he said, his words carefully chosen. "We did not realize the true nature of your civilization, and we seek to resolve this conflict through diplomacy, not violence." The alien commander regarded the human soldiers with a mixture of suspicion and curiosity, her eyes narrowing as she processed Andrei's words. After a tense moment, she nodded and motioned for the humans to follow. Andrei's team found themselves ushered into a grand, gleaming building, its architecture a breathtaking fusion of form and function. They were led to a vast, circular chamber, where a group of alien representatives, each from a different species, sat in solemn contemplation. As the negotiations began, it became clear that the Galactic Council was willing to hear the humans out, their initial anger tempered by a genuine desire to understand the motives behind the assault. Andre and his team, in turn, found themselves grappling with the complexities of the situation, their own preconceptions challenged by the nuanced perspectives of their alien counterparts. The discussions were tense, with both sides making concessions and compromises as they sought to find common ground. Ultimately, a fragile agreement was reached, one that acknowledged the humanity's desire for greater autonomy and the Galactic Council's need to maintain the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. As Andre and his team emerged from the negotiations, their faces etched with a mixture of relief and uncertainty, they knew that the future would be far from simple. The conflict that had almost erupted had left an indelible mark, and the path forward would require a fundamental shift in the relationship between humanity and the Galactic Council. But for now, they were alive, and the door to a new era of understanding had been cracked open, a glimmer of hope amidst the lingering shadows of distrust and resentment. As the battered human assault fleet limped back to their home solar system, a palpable sense of defeat and uncertainty hung in the air. Elijah Sinclair, the once confident architect of the audacious plan, sat in stony silence, his eyes fixed on the viewscreen as the familiar stars came into view. "We've failed," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "All of our planning, all of our sacrifice, for nothing." Beside him, Petra Norwood's expression was a mix of anger and disbelief. "Failed," she spat, her fingers clenching the armrests of her seat. "We've been made fools of, tricked into attacking a vibrant, thriving civilization." The others in the command center shifted uncomfortably, their own doubts and recriminations written plainly on their faces. The mission, which had once seemed so clear-cut and righteous, now seemed like a horrific misstep, a grave error in judgment that could have dire consequences for humanity. As the fleet touched down on the familiar soil of their home planet, the news of their failed assault spread like wildfire through the human population. The reaction was a mix of outrage, fear, and confusion, with some hailing the nationalist leaders as heroes and others decrying their actions as reckless and treacherous. Elijah and his co-conspirators found themselves thrust into the glare of public scrutiny, their every move and utterance dissected and analyzed. The government, torn between its desire to maintain stability and its own reservations about the Galactic Council, walked a delicate line, neither fully condemning nor endorsing the actions of the nationalist group. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council convened in solemn deliberation, the assault on their headquarters a stark reminder of the growing tensions between humanity and the alien alliance. The representatives, drawn from a diverse array of species, debated the appropriate course of action, their discussions tinged with a sense of unease and uncertainty. "We cannot simply ignore this transgression," one of the Galactic Council members, a towering reptilian-like creature, said, his deep voice rumbling like distant thunder. "The humans have proven themselves to be a threat to the stability of the galaxy." Another member, a diminutive, insect-like being, countered, "But we cannot respond with undue force. These humans are not our enemies. They are merely misguided, their actions driven by fear and resentment. Perhaps there is a path to reconciliation if we approach this with wisdom and patience." The debate raged on, with the Galactic Council grappling with the implications of the human assault and the potential consequences of their response. The fate of humanity, once so seemingly clear-cut, now hung in the balance, the future shrouded in uncertainty. Back on Earth, Elijah and his fellow nationalist leaders found themselves facing a growing tide of public outcry, their once fervent support eroding in the wake of the failed mission. The people, once fired up by their promises of freedom and glory, now looked upon them with a mix of disappointment and distrust. Andrei Volkov and his team, the sole survivors of the assault, were greeted with a mix of reverence and suspicion. Their accounts of the Galactic Council's true nature, a thriving, diverse civilization, not an oppressive military force, only added to the public's confusion and uncertainty. As the weeks turned to months, the human solar system found itself in a state of uneasy limbo, its future intertwined with the decisions made by the Galactic Council and the actions of its own people. The path forward was no longer clear, and the promise of a brighter, more independent future had been replaced by a looming sense of dread and the ever-present possibility of conflict. In the months following the failed human assault on the Galactic Council headquarters, a sense of unease and uncertainty had settled over the human solar system. The public, once fired up by the nationalist leaders' promises of freedom and glory, now looked upon them with a mix of disappointment and distrust, their faith in the government's ability to navigate the delicate situation with the alien alliance shaken to the core. Elijah Sinclair and his co-conspirators found themselves increasingly marginalized, their once fervent support dwindling as the people grappled with the implications of the failed mission. The government, caught between its desire to maintain stability and its own reservations about the Galactic Council, walked a tenuous line, neither fully condemning nor endorsing the actions of the nationalist group. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council had convened in a series of tense deliberations, the assault on their headquarters a stark reminder of the growing tensions between humanity and the alien alliance. The representatives, drawn from a diverse array of species, had debated the appropriate course of action, their discussions tinged with a sense of unease and uncertainty. Ultimately, the Galactic Council had decided to take a measured approach, recognizing the need for open communication and understanding. The first tentative steps towards rebuilding bridges were taken, as envoys were dispatched to the human solar system, tasked with establishing diplomatic channels and fostering a new era of cooperation. One such envoy was Zora, a brilliant young diplomat from the Xandarian homeworld, whose keen intellect and disarming charm had earned her a reputation as a skilled negotiator. As she stepped off the sleek, gleaming spacecraft that had brought her to Earth, she couldn't help but feel a sense of trepidation. "The path ahead will not be an easy one," she murmured to her assistant, a diminutive, insect-like being named Kiri. "The wounds of our past conflict run deep, and the humans are understandably wary of our presence." Kiri's large, multifaceted eyes blinked slowly as he nodded in agreement. "But we must try, Zora. The stability of the galaxy depends on our ability to bridge this divide and find common ground." As Zara and her team made their way to the capital city of New Amsterdam, they were greeted with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. The human populace, still reeling from the failed assault, eyed the alien envoys with a cautious wariness, their memories of the Galactic Council's perceived oppression still fresh in their minds. Undeterred, Zara and her team set to work, engaging in a series of cultural exchanges and diplomatic talks with the human government and its representatives. They shared insights into the Galactic Council's history, its governance, and the diverse array of species that called it home, all the while listening intently to the concerns and grievances of their human counterparts. Slowly, tentatively, a sense of understanding began to emerge. As the humans witnessed the genuine efforts of the Galactic Council envoys to bridge the divide, their initial distrust began to give way to a cautious openness. The once clear lines that had separated the two civilizations began to blur, as shared experiences and a mutual desire for peace forged newfound connections. Andrei Volkov, the leader of the ill-fated assault team, found himself drawn into the ongoing diplomatic efforts, his first-hand knowledge of the Galactic Council's true nature proving invaluable. As he shared his observations with his fellow humans, a shift in perspective began to take root. The rigid nationalist ideologies that had once guided their actions now giving way to a more nuanced understanding of their alien counterparts. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council headquarters on Sendari, the representatives watched the unfolding events with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The path ahead was fraught with challenges, but the potential rewards were too great to ignore. "If we can forge a lasting partnership with humanity," one of the Galactic Council members mused, "the possibilities for growth and discovery are endless. But we must tread carefully, lest we risk undoing the fragile peace we have built across the galaxy." As the cultural and technological exchanges between the two civilizations continued, the stage was set for a new era of cooperation and shared prosperity. The future, once shrouded in uncertainty, now held the promise of a brighter, more united galactic community, if only the human and alien leaders could navigate the treacherous waters of diplomacy and trust-building. As the diplomatic efforts between humanity and the Galactic Council continued, a series of unexpected alliances began to emerge. Connections forged not through political maneuvering, but through shared experiences and a genuine desire for understanding. One such alliance blossomed between Andrei Volkov, the former leader of the ill-fated human assault team, and Zara, the Xandarian diplomat tasked with bridging the divide between the two civilizations. Over the course of their interactions, the two had formed a cautious but genuine rapport, their initial distrust slowly giving way to a mutual respect. "I'll admit, I was skeptical of you and your people at first," Andrei confessed, his voice tinged with a hint of sheepishness. "But after seeing the Galactic Council's capital with my own eyes, I realized just how wrong we were about the nature of your civilization." Zara nodded, her eyes alight with a quiet wisdom. "I understand your skepticism, Andrei. The gulf between our worlds is vast, and the wounds of our past conflict run deep. But I believe that if we can find the courage to look beyond our preconceptions, we may discover that we have more in common than we thought." As they continued to collaborate on the diplomatic efforts, Andrei and Zara's bond deepened, their shared experiences and perspectives forging an unexpected camaraderie. Andrei's first-hand knowledge of the Galactic Council's true nature proved invaluable, helping to shape the human government's understanding and opening new avenues for cooperation. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galactic divide, another unexpected alliance was taking shape. Mai Lion, the brilliant hacker and technician who had been part of the human assault team, found herself drawn into an unlikely partnership with Kiri, the diminutive Xandarian assistant to Zara. Mai, once fiercely loyal to the nationalist cause, had been profoundly shaken by the revelations she had witnessed during the failed mission. The discovery that the Galactic Council was not a monolithic, oppressive entity, but a diverse and thriving civilization, had forced her to confront the flaws in her own worldview. As she worked alongside Kiri, the two found themselves drawn to each other's unique perspectives and complementary skills. Kiri's deep understanding of the Galactic Council's technological infrastructure and Mei's own impressive hacking abilities proved to be a formidable combination as they collaborated on projects aimed at improving communication and information sharing between the two civilizations. The growing bonds between these unlikely pairs did not go unnoticed by the broader diplomatic efforts. Elijah Sinclair and the other nationalist leaders, once so certain of their cause, found themselves increasingly marginalized as the tide of public opinion shifted in favor of a more nuanced and collaborative approach. "This is unacceptable," Elijah raged, his fists slamming against the table in frustration. "We're allowing the Galactic Council to manipulate us, to lull us into a false sense of security." But his words fell on deaf ears as the human populace, once swayed by his fiery rhetoric, now looked upon him and his co-conspirators with a mix of disappointment and distrust. The path forward, once so clear-cut, had become a tangled web of alliances, compromises, and shifting allegiances. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council headquarters, the representatives watched the unfolding events with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The unexpected partnerships between the human and alien individuals were challenging the long-held assumptions and biases that had divided the two civilizations, paving the way for a future that was no longer defined by conflict, but by the promise of mutual understanding and growth. As the cultural and technological exchanges continued, the stage was set for a new era of cooperation and shared prosperity, one that would require the human and Galactic Council leaders to navigate the delicate balance of trust and compromise, and to embrace the unexpected connections that could shape the course of the galaxy. As the months turned to years, the once tense relationship between humanity and the Galactic Council had undergone a remarkable transformation. The diplomatic efforts, spearheaded by the unexpected alliances that had blossomed in the wake of the failed human assault, had slowly but steadily eroded the barriers that had once divided the two civilizations. Zara, the Xendarian diplomat, and Andrei Volkov, the former human assault team leader, had become the driving forces behind the reconciliation process, their collaboration a testament to the power of open communication and shared understanding. When I first met Andrei, I must admit, I was skeptical, Zara said, her voice tinged with a hint of amusement. But over time, as we worked together and learned from one another, I realized that our differences were far outweighed by our common desires, the need for freedom, the thirst for knowledge, the hope for a better future. Andrei nodded in agreement, his once hardened features softened by a newfound sense of optimism. Zara and her team have shown us that the Galactic Council is not the oppressive, monolithic entity we had been led to believe. They are a diverse, vibrant civilization, with as much to offer humanity as we have to offer them. The cultural and technological exchanges that had blossomed between the two worlds had been nothing short of transformative. Humanity, once confined to its modest solar system, now found itself granted access to the vast resources and advanced technologies of the Galactic Council, unlocking new frontiers of exploration and discovery. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council, in turn, had gained valuable insights into the human spirit. Its resilience, its ingenuity, and its unwavering drive for autonomy. The once rigid boundaries that had separated the two civilizations had gradually eroded, replaced by a shared sense of purpose and a mutual respect for one another's unique contributions. As the diplomatic negotiations reached their culmination, the stage was set for a historic agreement, one that would cement the partnership between humanity and the Galactic Council, ushering in a new era of cooperation and shared prosperity. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council headquarters on Sendari, the representatives of both civilizations gathered, their faces etched with a mix of solemnity and anticipation. Elijah Sinclair and the other nationalist leaders, once so vocal in their opposition to the Galactic Council, sat in sullen silence, their once fervent ideologies now relegated to the shadows of history. Zara and Andrei, standing side by side, addressed the assembled dignitaries, their words carrying the weight of years of painstaking work and hard-won compromise. Today, we stand before you not as adversaries, but as partners, bound by a shared vision of a future where the diversity and ingenuity of our civilizations can flourish, where the boundaries that once divided us have been erased, and where the endless possibilities of the galaxy lie before us. As the historic agreement was signed, a palpable sense of hope and excitement filled the air. The human populace, once racked by fear and uncertainty, now looked to the future with a renewed sense of purpose, their eyes alight with the promise of a brighter tomorrow. In the days and weeks that followed, the tangible benefits of the Human Galactic Council partnership began to take shape. Humanity's access to the advanced technologies and resources of the Alien Alliance opened up new frontiers of exploration, unlocking secrets of the cosmos that had long eluded their grasp. Meanwhile, the cultural exchanges between the two civilizations fostered a deeper understanding and appreciation for one another's unique perspectives and contributions. The once rigid barriers that had divided them gave way to a thriving exchange of ideas, art, and knowledge, enriching the lives of both humans and aliens alike. As the Human and Galactic Council leaders looked to the future, they saw not a landscape of conflict and uncertainty, but a boundless expanse of opportunity, a galaxy teeming with the promise of discovery, innovation, and the endless potential of what could be achieved when civilizations come together in a spirit of mutual respect and understanding.